Hey, thanks for joining me today. Oh, yeah. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. You would think that a 30-second intro would be enough time for me to make sure that we're streaming on all the platforms. But here I am. Okay, good. It's working. We're live. And we'll do it live. We'll do it live. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this Friday, December 8th. December 8th. What a day. Year's almost up. But we got a good show for you. It is a Friday, so that means it is a Fact Check Friday. We're going to talk about a little bit about fact checking. Really. There we go. Today, and I got a number of stories to get to, but first up, we got to talk about an interesting concept, and it has to do with fact checking. It has to actually do with everything. I'm just right now I'm just checking the stream. It says it's excellent. I made some updates to all my settings. Encoding overloaded, considering turning down video settings. Uh-oh. We're using a faster encoding preset. I don't know how to do that. Oh well. Anyway, let's just get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me set the stage for a moment here. Picture your favorite sitcom, the classic comedy where misunderstandings reign supreme, where miscommunication turns into laughter-induced disasters. We all love a good chuckle at the expense of clumsy words, but let's face it, when the script spills into reality, not as entertaining. No. We're living in a world where precision in language often takes a backseat to convenience. Politicians dance around issues like they're trying out for dancing with the semantics. Good pun there. Journalists juggle words like a sitcom character, but with less care. But here's the thing, folks. This isn't just a laugh track waiting to happen. It affects the very fabric of our society. Picture a sitcom without the punchlines. Just a mess of misunderstandings. That's what we get when language loses its precision. We idolize the wordsmiths, the masters of rhetoric, yet we should venerate the precision itself. It's not about fancy vocabulary or linguistic gymnastics. It's about ensuring that what is said is what's meant. It's about clarity. It's about making sure that the punchline hits where it should. Really? Okay. In sitcoms, we should at least we laugh at characters tangled in miscommunications, but in real life, those missteps can lead to profound consequences. We can't afford to live in a perpetual episode of Misunderstanding Avenue. Let's learn from the sitcom playbook and aim for punchlines in our conversations. Let's cut through the laugh tracks and aim for the truth. Because when we value precision in language, we're scripting a better narrative for our society. One where clarity reigns and misunderstandings take a well-deserved hiatus. So, here's to the sitcom lessons. Let's not be characters stumbling over words for cheap laughs. Let's be the scriptwriters crafting a storyline where precision isn't just appreciated, it's celebrated. It's time for a rewrite where the punchlines are intentional and the plot line is crystal clear. Because, folks, in this sitcom called Life, let's aim for the episodes where everybody understands the joke and nobody's wondering what the punchline was. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee Nuance Show, best censored commentary news show live right now. Aim on, flame on. Okay. Well, I am trying to be precise in my language, and I'm also trying to monitor how the stream is going. We had some issues last night with the stream. It just froze. And so I made lots of adjustments. It's great when you have so many variables, you don't know which is the right one. Anyway, we're talking about precision in language, and this is something that I've kind of been obsessed with my whole life. I am a literal person, and yes, I can understand people using the wrong words. I can understand it. I don't like it. Say what you mean what you say. And I think that the people that are more precise are making civilization better. And those people that are trying to distort words, that are trying to make words have no meaning, essentially destroying civilization. I know that's a bit hyperbolic. That's over the top. I get it. But we should be able to go through life knowing that if someone says a car, they mean a car, and they don't mean, well, you know, technically a semi-truck is under this one classification could also be considered an automobile, and so therefore calling it a car is okay. It's like, no, that's a car, that's a big truck. Stop, okay? When you make things more confusing, you add to the chaos of the world. We've got enough chaos as it is. We don't need more chaos. And the way that we can solve this is to be more precise in our language. Now, recently, I think it was the death of Suzanne Summers, I just decided to rewatch Three's Company, which was one of my favorite shows as a kid. And I think about it. Why did I like this as a kid? You know, like 12 years old or something. I like that. I like that show. Even though it was adult themed, I guess. But there was always a misunderstanding. In every episode, there was some kind of misunderstanding. And it was always funny for the show. But I am watching it saying, why did you use that word? Why didn't you just be clear as what you were saying? And then we wouldn't have this big problem that we have. I know. It's entertainment. I shouldn't have to do that. But we need to be careful of these things. And as it is a Fact Check Friday, I want to show you some examples of precision in language and why it's extra important that someone that's writing a fact check understands precision. So let's just take a look at USA Today. They did fact checking on the debate from the other night. So here is the article. GOP debate fact check. What Haley, Ramaswamy, and other Republican candidates got wrong. Okay. So immediately we're just framing this as here's what they got wrong. We won't tell you what they got right. So here's what USA Today's fact check team found on some of the most noteworthy claims. Okay. So number one, Vivek Ramaswamy claim, climate change is a hoax. That's their claim. That's their headline. Vivek claimed climate change is a hoax. Let's go to the quote. The climate change agenda is a hoax because it has nothing to do with the climate. Well, hold on a second here. The fact checkers, on their first fact check of this entire article, because we got a bunch here. The first one, they're saying that he's claiming that the climate change is a hoax, when literally he said the climate change agenda is a hoax because it has nothing to do with the climate. Now, what Ramaswamy was talking about is the people that are using climate change to advance other things. He's saying that their agenda is a hoax. He doesn't say that climate change is a hoax. In fact, he stated that many times. But right off the bat, this fact check gets it wrong because they're not precise in their language the way that Ramaswamy was precise in his language. This is inaccurate on many counts. The hoax claim is wrong. The vast majority of climate scientists, 97%, agree that human activity is causing climate change, which in turn has caused an increase in the frequency and intensity of natural disasters. Well, I don't know, frankly, what I'm allowed to say about this topic on this platform. But what I will say is Ramaswamy didn't question that. He said the agenda. The agenda. That's why. But the reason that the USA Today fact checkers can get away with this is because the vast majority of the public doesn't care about precision in their language. They just don't care. It's not important to them. And so they don't pick up on these autistic details that certain people do. Let's just look here at the next one here. And let's just be precise in our language. Here's the Vivek Ramaswamy claim. January 6 now does look like an inside job. Says there's absolutely no evidence supporting this claim. Well, he didn't say that it was an inside job. He says it now looks like an inside job. If you say that something looks something, you're stating that that's your opinion. Okay? You don't fact check opinions. If you say something looks scary, you can't turn around and say, well, there's no evidence. I'm not scared. That's not how language works. That's not how fact checking works. His claim is that it looks like an inside job. And he was precise in his language. He said it looks like an inside job. And they're fact checking whether it was an inside job or not. That's not right. That's not right. And it's very obvious. It's very obvious when you're precise in your language that you can understand what they're doing. Now, here's the last one I'll do. And this is a Nikki Haley claim. This was insane. She said, and here's the claim. Every 30 minutes spent watching TikTok makes a person 17% more anti-Semitic. And here's the actual quote that she said. And when she said this, my mind was going, obviously this is insane. For every 30 minutes that someone watches TikTok every day, they become 17% more anti-Semitic. If you're going to make a claim based on a statistic, you should get the statistic right. Okay, the actual statistic, and I don't even know that this statistic is causation, correlation. We don't know, okay? But the actual statistic is those people that spend at least 30 minutes a day on TikTok increases their chance by 17% of that person responding to a survey that may hold anti-Semitic or anti-Israel Israel views. But here's the thing. One, we don't know how someone is judging what anti-Semitic or anti-Israel is. You'd have to get into that to really find out. But two, just because somebody is on TikTok a half hour a day, right? Let's just suppose, okay, let's see if this makes sense for you. You're in the 3rd grade. You watch TikTok, and it's mainly cat videos that you're served up with. Are you somehow more anti-Semitic than other kids that didn't watch cat videos? Well, of course not. That is really dumb. This is a really dumb study. This is a really dumb survey. It doesn't prove anything at all. So you shouldn't really be quoting it. There could be a strong correlation those people, and no offense if you watch TikTok every day for 30 minutes, okay? But I'm going to make a generalization. I'm going to say that generally, people that watch 30 minutes of TikTok a day are just kind of dumb. And I can say that because guess what? Over 50% of the people are less smart than average, right? That's just statistics. And I'm being a hypocrite now because I'm not being precise in exactly what I want to say. But it could just be that people that watch TikTok are more swayed by stupid people on TikTok than people that don't watch TikTok, right? And on TikTok, there's a lot of things that many people would consider to be anti-Semitic. And so if you're taking in that media over and over again, it could have an effect on you, right? So I'm not saying that TikTok is leading to anti-Semitism. It may be. This statistic is dumb. This study is dumb. I don't think it proves anything. But Nikki Haley somehow was not able to even read the statistic correctly. Clearly, for every 30 minutes that someone watches TikTok every day, they don't become 17% more anti-Semitic. It sounds like every time you watch TikTok for a half hour, you become more and more and more anti-Semitic. So if you watch it for a couple hours, you're a full-blown Nazi, right? That's the way that Nikki Haley is totally imprecise in her language. She should be called out on this. Is just a really stupid thing to say. But that's kind of, I don't know, par for the course. Some politicians are more precise in their language, and some are less precise in their language. And I just think that the world would be a better place for people that are more precise in their language. If we were to look at Biden, clearly not precise in his language, and I would say that even Trump, very clumsy in his use of language as well. So I'm saying overall, we'd be better if we all just started saying what we mean what we say. And yeah, that's it with this Nikki Haley thing. I guess I'm done with that. But we got a number of other stories to get to today. Yeah. But, you know, with a lot of these fact checkers, I just want to say, the question is, are they dumb? Are they intentionally dumb? Are they intentionally misreading things? To then present things in the way that would please the people that are paying them, right? Politically. So something to keep in mind. And again, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell if the writers of this USA Today, this was a team that put this together, okay? And so this Ramaswamy thing was written by, you want to see confirmation bias? I'll show you confirmation bias. Wow, that's interesting. I just searched for the writer here, just to see who the writer was, and just to show you an example of confirmation bias. But they don't really show up in, oh, there we go. Well, I'm going to leave that one alone. Let's get to the other stories today. Maybe I'll mention it in the after show. Rumble froze and I had to refresh the page. Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm still working on it. Still working on that. Anyway, let's get to the big stories of the day. Next up, let's talk about the indictments. The Department of Justice filed new tax-related charges against Hunter Biden, accusing him of evading $1.4 million in taxes over 4 years while living extravagantly. Charges include felonies and misdemeanors, potentially leading to 17 years in prison if convicted. Biden's lawyers claim he repaid the taxes, suggesting bias in the investigation due to his last name. These charges follow earlier ones related to false statements on a gun purchase. Biden earned millions from various sources, including board positions in Ukrainian and Chinese companies, facing scrutiny for leveraging his family name. An initial plea deal fell through, raising concerns about preferential treatment due to political influences. Well, this is kind of interesting, you know. He had this big plea deal. By the way, this is AI that did this little thumbnail here. AI's getting better and better. But, you know, he was so close to having this deal that would have kept him from being indicted on this. Boy, you owe over $1 million in taxes, and somehow it's not a big deal, right? Not a big deal. Anyway, clearly, Hunter Biden's not going to do any prison time. Let's be clear. First of all, I am positive that his dad would pardon him if convicted. So that's not that big a deal, you know, not that big a deal. It is embarrassing, and it looks like this is all coming down. If I'm just to read the atmosphere, it looks like pressure is being put on Joe Biden to drop out of the race. That's what it appears to be for me. I can't believe he's still in the race. But, you know, who knows? In fact, I don't understand why a son would not respect his father enough to not embarrass him like Hunter Biden is doing. All Hunter Biden had to do, he was a millionaire going into his dad becoming president. All he had to do was move down to Latin America, buy himself a big estate, and just hang out for years. He's got all the money he needs for the rest of his life. Couldn't do that. Had to keep doing all this other stuff. I don't know. I don't get it. You win Powerball. Enjoy your winnings. I guess this is a case of press your luck, though, perhaps. I don't know. Anyway, I don't have much else to say about Hunter. I wish he didn't get the attention that he's getting. We have such bigger problems. But I do think that what is happening with Hunter is an example of the corruption in our government. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get to the next story, and this is a weird one. So, a recent study analyzed the impact of wildfires on air quality and health in the continental United States from 2000 to 2020. It revealed that wildfires, particularly in the western U.S., significantly worsened air quality by increasing black carbon concentrations, resulting in a rise of 670 premature deaths annually in that region. These fires counteracted efforts to improve air quality through reduced emissions, essentially nullifying progress made by EPA regulations. The study, utilizing satellite data and ground-based monitoring, highlighted how wildfires eroded air quality gains and heightened health risks, emphasizing the need to address escalating frequency and severity of these blazes. So basically, what this study is saying. And I don't know that I believe any studies. But all of the increased regulations for the past 20 years in this country were essentially knocked out because we couldn't keep the wildfires under control. If that's the case, all this regulation that we're doing on everything, such as, on cars and everything, right? Why aren't they doing anything about these wildfires? Can't we solve this? I mean, we've got robots, we've got AI. We couldn't use AI. We couldn't set up a system to protect the forests in the western United States. Of course we could. It looks to me like the forest fires are the biggest contributor to climate change and health related environmental concerns in the United States. If that's the case, why is no one doing anything about it? It's as if they can't seem to figure out how to make money off of it. I think that's it. They haven't figured out how to get kickbacks from trying to stop wildfires. If only there could be some, I don't know, big global corporation that could come up with a new wildfire service management system. And then maybe we could drop a couple $100 billion into it every year. But I don't know. I think it can totally be contained. I think it can totally be done. This doesn't seem like that big a problem to me. Maybe I'm just naive. But I think I could come up with a system with fire breaks and different monitoring systems. There just doesn't appear to be a desire. But the thing is, all of these people that are pushing all the regulations, are the same people that don't seem to be concerned at all about the wildfires. That just screams hypocrisy to me. If wildfires wipe out all the advances made in the last 20 years, why aren't we doing anything about it? I guess follow the money. I don't know. Let me know what you think. And I got an update about some of these debates. C&N plans to host 2 Republican presidential primary debates in January, right before the initial contests in Iowa and New Hampshire. These debates aim to give voters insight into the leading candidates challenging President Joe Biden in the 2024 election. Here's the kicker. To participate, candidates must achieve at least 10% in 3 qualifying polls, meeting CNN's specific criteria for each state. The first debate on January 10th in Iowa requires candidates to meet these criteria nationally and within Iowa, while the second debate on January 21st in New Hampshire focuses on national and New Hampshire polls, with additional invitations for top performers in the Iowa caucus. Notable candidates meeting these criteria include former President Donald Trump, South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. That's it. Republican National Committee is anticipated to lift restrictions on participating in non-RNC sanctioned debates. ABC News and WMUR TV will also hold a Republican primary debate in New Hampshire on January 18th. So this is... Oh, did I not get the Chiron there? There we go. So this is interesting. Oh, man. Looks like we're freezing again. Well, it's no wonder that We don't have a whole lot of people watching. Not when this is happening. Oh, damn it. Turning down video settings. You know, it says turning down video settings. Why don't you tell me what setting they're talking about? What setting are you talking about? There's lots of video settings. Turning it down doesn't mean anything to me. Anyway. So here's the kicker from this story is CNN's hosting the debates. Now, why the RNC chose CNN to host the Republican debates when CNN has been proven to essentially be a mouthpiece for the Democrat establishment. But whatever. I know they're claiming they're supposed to be centrist now, but not buying it. But here's the kicker. You need to have 10% in approved polls. And one of those approved polls, one of the polls that you must get 10% in, is conducted by CNN. So CNN can choose exactly how to conduct a poll, and they alone can keep somebody out of the debate. So you could be polling at 15% in all kinds of polls, but unless you get it in that one CNN poll, you're not in there. And to me, this is just a signal that the Iowa debate that is going to take place will only be Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley. Again, Chris Christie's not a real candidate. He'll be dropping out in January. Prior to the first election, the first primary, he will drop out prior to that and probably endorse Nikki Haley. He's not a real candidate, as I've said ad nauseum. You can't even buy a Chris Christie yard sign or bumper sticker, so weird. Anyway, but I think that this is done specifically to keep Vivek off the stage. They've decided they don't want him on the stage, and it looks like they will be able to make that happen, especially because one of the polls in this article, one of the polls must be a CNN poll. It must be a CNN poll. So CNN is going to decide who can be on their TV show. Interesting stuff. Anyway, next I got Sign of the Times. Okay, and just so you know, tonight I will be live. I'll do the Midnight Americano again. I will try turning down the video settings and using a faster encoding preset. So maybe that'll work. But we'll try it out tonight. Anyway, so here's scary news. Keanu Reeves' LA home was targeted by burglars wearing ski masks on 2 occasions in one evening. The first break-in occurred around 7 p.m., prompting a police search that found no one. Later, around 1 a.m., multiple masked men were caught on security cameras breaking through a window, taking a firearm before fleeing. Keanu wasn't home during the incidents. Law enforcement's investigating whether the initial call to the police was made by someone scouting the house. Yeah, that's a strategy. This isn't the first time Reeves' home has faced intrusions. There have been similar attempts in the past, including 2 break-ins in 2014. Detectives are reviewing home videos and neighborhood footage for more information. So this is just a kind of sign of the times, scary. Again, AI made this thumbnail or picture-in-picture thing. But we're seeing these home invaders. We're seeing groups of armed people go into homes a lot more. Now, I don't think that the news is covering it to the extent that I think they should. But in the future, when things become more chaotic, when there aren't as many jobs. I think there's going to be more of this, especially in places where there have been reductions in police, right? If you had a lot of defund the police in your part of the world, you see crime going up. And I do think that this is a concern. And I just brought up the Keanu Reeves thing just because it was, you know, everybody likes Keanu. But it could have been any of another thousands of stories across the country with this. Anyway, scary stuff. One of the things that was mentioned in the article is they are looking at footage from the neighborhood. So that is something interesting if you have like Ring or Blink or, you know, these different security cams at your house. Pretty much if you drive into a neighborhood, there are lots of different cameras that are detecting it. However, that doesn't mean a lot. I mean, it could be a stolen car that they're using, stolen plates. I think that's why it's important that we actually have police on the street. So, because I know driving around here in Portland, it's like I see so many cars every day that are driving around without any license plates whatsoever. And I know the local DA had something like, we can't enforce it because it affects people of color more, some nonsense. It's crazy. But the result of that is more crime. Getting scary. Anyway, I want to talk about Austin next. Austin City Council voted to allow building up to 3 housing units on a single-family lot to tackle housing shortages and increase affordability. Advocates believe this will ease rising prices by boosting housing supply, but critics fear it may disrupt neighborhoods and displace low-income residents. The change is part of a broader effort to relax housing regulations and spur construction, similar to strategies in other cities. Proponents highlight expanded housing options and environmental benefits, which of course we know are just wiped out by wildfires. No. While opponents worry about gentrification and displacement. Yeah. So, I have mixed feelings on this. I'm not a big fan of all the housing regulations. It's so silly here in Portland. You actually need to get a permit to paint your house. So you need a little touch-up paint on your house. Well, you better get a permit for that. We got all kinds of insane regulations here. So taking away some of the regulations, yeah, typically good. One of the problems with this, though, is let's say you bought a house. You're in a nice neighborhood. You like where you are. You like all of your neighbors. And all of a sudden, some hedge fund comes in. They buy your next door neighbor's house. They raise it. They just get rid of it. And then they put in 3 units right next door to you. Now, all of a sudden, you've got all this noise happening, and you used to have a nice, peaceful neighborhood. You had a nice, peaceful street. And now it's destroyed. It's changed. In the past, everybody on your block owned their house. So you had people that were, you know, probably a little bit more responsible. People that were looking out for their neighbors. Now it's being replaced by renters. Renters can be very good people, but they can also be troublesome people. All of a sudden now, and if that happens to a couple houses around you, now all of a sudden your dream house is now loud, not as safe, and doesn't have the vibe that you that you originally bought. So I'm a bit mixed on this. I know they're doing this around me. And in fact, like up and down this big street where I live, they just keep knocking out houses that were built in the 50s, and they're putting up, like eightplexes in their place. And it's really changing the feel of the neighborhood. Not a fan of it at all. So I don't know. They say they're doing this for the people, but are they? Are they really? I don't know. Well, we need some good news, so let's get to some good news of the day. And this involves two things I'm a fan of. That's right. It's more AI here. El Salvador, known for its pioneering adoption of Bitcoin as legal tender, recently unveiled a partnership with Tether to offer foreigners Salvadoran citizenship in exchange for $1 million in Bitcoin investment. Now, despite initial controversy, the slow local adoption of Bitcoin, the country has drawn attention from global Bitcoin enthusiasts. President Bukele's government collaborated with Bitfinex, a Tether-affiliated company, to facilitate this new initiative and introduced a visa program targeting high-net-worth individuals. While some see this as a visionary move, concerns have emerged about the impact on local communities, with reports of evictions for developments linked to Bitcoin-focused tourism. Well, that's what happens, right? That's what happens. And I think that there will going to be a lot of people that are going to be getting citizenship in El Salvador. It's real nice. They got beaches. Really cleaned up the crime there. Now, sure, there might be an issue with just throwing people you think are thugs into prison. And, maybe not going through a whole trial process. However, if you want to live at a place that you can use U.S. dollars, you can use Bitcoin. They got a beautiful beach, and there's lots of other rich people around you. El Salvador might be your choice. They tried doing one of these wealth taxes here in Portland. Well, guess what happened, right? All the really wealthy people, they just moved out to the suburbs. They may have even kept their house, but then they bought another residence outside of the city that they claimed as their main residence. And now the city has missed out on, I don't know, like $1 billion in tax revenue because of that. That's what's going to happen. The people making all the money certainly don't want to be paying extra. So they're going to be looking for different places to live, and that might include El Salvador. One of the tricks with El Salvador is you don't know how real it is or how long it's going to be able to be affiliated with Bitcoin and really keep that whole thing in place. I've heard them say, it could be one bullet away from reverting back to the way that it was. You've got a charismatic leader, but as long as he's alive and in charge, well, then it could be, the country that it is, but it very easily could go back to the way that it was before. And so I think I would caution people about, putting all their their assets in El Salvador. I don't think that I would be buying a house in El Salvador right now, just because it's so volatile. But I do think that is good news. It gives more options for people, especially with our inflation is just totally out of control. Food has gone up so much. Wouldn't it be nice to move somewhere that perhaps your savings aren't depleted as quickly as they are, might be nice. Might be nice to go to a place that's a little bit more affordable. So anyway, I do think that that is good news. I have a number of friends that have been down to El Salvador for different Bitcoin events. And they've been down several times, and I enjoy talking about that with them. But I do think that there's a lot of opportunity there, and it's something to consider. I haven't looked into the details about this. It's not a give them $1 million and you get citizenship. I believe it's you're investing in some kind of business or property or something down there. So you still get to keep your money. You're just putting it in that economy, I believe. But that's something else I need to look into a little bit more. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. It looks like we made it through all of the streaming issues. Again, I will work on I'll work on the settings and see if I can get this fixed. I'll be around tonight, Midnight Americano, Friday night show, coming up at midnight on the East Coast, right here. 9 p.m. on the West Coast, Midnight Americano. We'll just be hanging out and seeing if the stream works, I guess. Will it? Won't it? Well, tune in to find out. Anyway, I'll be going through all your comments in the after show. Hope you all have an awesome weekend, and I'll be back on Monday. Until then, peace. Here we go. Here we go. Anyway, thanks for checking in, everyone. Thanks for hanging out through this bit of a conundrum with the streaming. I keep working on it. I keep working on it. Every day, if you work toward progress, eventually you'll get there. Eventually you'll get there. Yeah, a few faces in the chat today, so that's tough. Natasha's listening while doing yard stuff. Yeah, I know that the YouTube did switch things up with the top chat and the latest chat and the live chat, and they got different settings, and it can be confusing, but once you get it set right, I think you'll be okay. You should see the subdivision of mini houses in San Antonio in a recent TruthStream Media video. Coffin-sized. Yikes. That's really the issue, is you go from having just houses on your block to all this, you know, so around me and the streets that I walk on, like that I would take my dog on a walk, they're all regular size house lots. But if I go a little bit further around, they've replaced houses with, like I say, like 8-plexes and things like that. And there's cars all over the street. But by me, where it's just, you know, people have garages and driveways and whatnot, there's no cars on the street. Not a single car is parked out on the curb. It's kind of nice. It gives you a different feel for the neighborhood. And, you know, people work really hard to be able to get out and have, you know, to get out to a place that they feel safe finally. And then to have that taken away with these changing regulations is kind of tough. Now, I'm not sure that the regulations should have been there from the beginning. But, you know, when you buy into a neighborhood and you think this is what I'm getting into, and then it changes on you, you feel like you got the rug pulled out from under you. You feel swindled. Yeah. Just in time for the good news, the only news that matters. Hey, I agree there, Elandorel. And I like that emoji that you put there that's like a little alien with a cup of coffee, perhaps. Very cool. I'll have to look at that afterwards. Hashtag Rumble Gang. It's better on Rumble. Hashtag Rumblephilia? Let's see if we can get that going. These fact checkers' lack of precision is an intentional spin on politics. They're just plain lying. I agree. I don't think that they're that dumb. Or I don't think that most of them are that dumb. I don't think that the editors are that dumb. I did pull up the picture of the person that wrote the first article that I talked about today. And the person who wrote them, I don't want to indicate anything. The person that wrote it could be that dumb, if I'm just judging by the picture of them. Let's see. Rumble froze, had to refresh the page. You must have been telling too much truth about the Fedsurrection. It is interesting that when you talk about certain things, coincidentally, that's when some errors start happening. But I don't think there's enough evidence to conclude that. I don't know. Ox says, I might just watch 3 hours of TikTok just to prove it wrong. Let's see if I turn out as a fully uninformed and mustached nah.